Supergirl finally came out. I have a lot of thoughts, and so I wanted to share my spoiler-free review with you. So starting right off the bat,
Don't write yourself off yet.
Sorry,
It's only
do you
in
hear
your
that?
head you feel left out and looked
Where
at
is that
upon.
coming from?
Just try your
You hear it, right?
best.
It's like a song.
Try everything you
Sorry, it's
can.
throwing me off. I gotta
Don't
figure out where
worry
that's
what they
coming from.
tell themselves when you're
Where
away.
is that song coming from?
It just takes some time.
It's not even that I don't like
You're
the
in the middle
song.
of
Supergirl is loosely based off of the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic. It is the DCU's sophomore film and follow-up to last year's Superman. And while it follows a hero who also dons a red and blue outfit, she could not be more different from the lovable nerd that we met in last year's movie. Before I get too far into this review, I do want to advise you not to let the chuds online ruin this movie or talk you out of seeing it. Yes, this movie has its issues, every film does, but it's very clear that a large portion of the negativity around this movie is coming from sexist man-children who are simply mad because there is a superhero movie about a woman. This movie is good, it is fun, and it is probably better than most of the MCU movies that have come out post-Endgame. And I'm saying that as a huge MCU fan myself. This is a solid superhero movie. The film does a really great job differentiating Kara, aka Supergirl, played by Millie Alcock, from Clark Kent, who we met in the previous film. They are different not just in terms of personality, but also their approach to being a hero. And the villain really does a good job highlighting that. One of my favorite things about more brutal, less traditional superheroes like Supergirl, Wolverine, or the Punisher is that they get to go up against some truly heinous villains. And that's exactly what happens here. This villain is absolutely cruel, and while some redeemable villains are fun to root for, some villains are simply not deserving of the compassion that heroes like Superman or Spider-Man would be willing to show. And so that's why there are heroes like Supergirl who are willing to go the extra mile and kind of do what needs to be done. At the same time, however, the film never loses sight of who Kara is. Unlike the Punisher or other heroes in that more brutal lane, you're never left guessing whether or not Supergirl is doing right. Kara is a hero through and through, and I love that the film highlights that you can do good without being nice. In the words of Kara's mother in the film, just be good. That doesn't mean you cannot be tough, that doesn't mean you have to be nice, but you must be good. And I feel that that really highlights the difference between Clark and Kara in their approach to being superheroes. To borrow a term from Tumblr, this film is a little bit of a surf Dracula, in that it takes a while for Kara to truly embrace being Supergirl and what that means. However, I feel like it really works in this movie and with the story that they are trying to tell. Another standout was Eve Ridley, who plays Ruthie. It's rare to see a child actor give such a strong performance, and she absolutely kills it here. More than anyone else in this movie, she truly feels like she was ripped off the pages from the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic that this movie was based off of. The pacing is another big positive for me. The film moves fast without ever feeling rushed, and I'm never left watching a scene simply waiting for them to get to the next big part. The movie flows very well in that sense. That said, I did have two issues with the film. The first being the needle drops. This movie had a lot of needle drops, and when I was walking out of the theater, my first thoughts were that they were all unnecessary. It feels like ever since Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014, more and more movies have been kind of copying that formula, and it's starting to feel very repetitive. That being said, my best friend who I saw the movie with actually brought up a really good counterpoint, that music is such a big part of Kara's life that we see in the film, that having music in this movie makes a lot of sense. And I do agree with that in hindsight. Some of the song choices and placements still did not work very well for me. I won't spoil it, but the one song that everyone seems to be talking about from this movie did feel a little jarring for me in the moment. In hindsight, it makes sense, but I think that it felt jarring because the filmmakers used a cover of this song that is very specific. And I feel like maybe if they would have just used the original song that everybody's familiar with, that would have felt less jarring when watching it. My only other real issue is that some of the set design and characters in terms of world building for what the DCU's space looks like felt a little too similar to Guardians of the Galaxy for me. That said, I can see that there was a real attempt at being practical in terms of the effect, and that was pretty cool to see what the more practical space people looked like. Where the film really surprised me was at its emotional core. At its heart, this is a film about survivors of abuse and trauma learning to live afterward. There's often a clear divide before and after, and the film really captures that sense of rupture very well. Once trauma or abuse happens, nothing is ever quite the same. It's almost like life just stops. While the film never pretends that these wounds will ever simply go away, it does offer a really encouraging and beautiful message when Kara tells Ruthie that your life will be your revenge. That message of not letting your abuser destroy the rest of your life or your trauma to rob you of your ability to experience happiness is really strong. And at the same time, the film never lets abusers off the hook. And if you watch the movie, you'll know what I mean. Overall, Supergirl is a really fun movie. It continues to uphold the level of quality and care that I've come to expect from James Gunn's DCU, while still carving its own identity. Despite a few issues, this movie is absolutely worth seeing, and I hope that people will judge it for what is based on the screen and not the sexist discourse that has been surrounding it. I'm giving Supergirl 4 out of 5 crypto dog treats. And that's it for me. If you liked this review, I encourage you to go check out my free Substack in my bio. This entire review was based off of the article I wrote on Supergirl, and you can always check out my YouTube channel, Brexton's Thought Bubble, where I post everything there first. I hope you have a great day.